on this slide we have the responses to treatment, and there are four different responses. First one being goal setting, and these goals need to be SMART targets, so specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time-based. If these goals are SMART, then it means that the athlete is going to get somewhere in the recovery process. The goals should also the athlete should also have short-term targets, medium-term targets and long-term targets. Goal setting can be motivating as it can make the athlete feel that they are recovering and getting somewhere. However, an issue is that if too many goals are set, it can become overwhelming and lead to the athlete being demotivated. The next is anxiety, and this can go one of two ways. So it can either be very motivating or have the opposite effect and be demotivating. So your anxiety might lead to you asking more questions and you being inquisitive as you are unsure, and therefore you gain knowledge about the injury, and if the injury reoccurs, then you know what to do next time and know how to deal with the injury in the recovery process. However, it can be demotivating as sometimes it becomes overwhelming and you can't cope with the stress and anxiety, and this could result in sleep loss, causing more stress and anxiety. The next is motivation, and this can help as it gets you through recovery and makes the process feel quicker and easier for you. If you're motivated, you're more likely to be in a positive mindset, but if you become too motivated, you might convince yourself you're ready to go back into the sport when you're in fact not ready, and this can lead to an injury again. So the next one is frustration, and if you get frustrated, it can show how much you care and how much you're committed to the sport. But this could go the other way and you could start feeling low and lose your motivation, giving up on the sport completely. On the next slide we have strategies for recovery. So different people use different strategies to get them through the recovery process, and different strategies suit different people. So the first strategy we're looking at is music, and this is a good way to release emotions, and by listening to music you can dance and sing and express your emotions through that. There are many different playlists for different moods, and therefore there are many different playlists that will get you pumped and motivated in the recovery process. The next strategy is relaxation, and this can include things such as relaxing, breathing, taking a holiday, and just taking time to yourself and chilling. So it helps reduce stress and put you in a more positive position and mindset, and can help you get motivated as well. So next we have being involved in the sport. So if you cannot participate in the sport, it doesn't stop you from going along and watching and supporting your team. By doing this, it can reduce the feeling of isolation because you were going along and you were seeing what they're doing and being part of their social life too. And it can also keep you in the routine of turning up for training and keeping you motivated to play the sport. So if you're keeping the sport in your routine, it means that when you go back to playing, it's going to feel like you never stopped going. Get what I mean? The next one is self-talk, and this can be just telling yourself that you're doing a good job at recovering and that you can keep up the good work and that you are getting somewhere. It can help you when you're to get where you imagine yourself being. So if you imagine yourself, so say if you pulled your Achilles tendon and you imagine yourself getting better and you imagine yourself playing that sport again. If you imagine this, it helps you get to where you want to be, and it can generally just make you feel better about yourself and generally just make you a positive person. So next we have a diary or journal, and this is a way of writing down your thoughts and feelings. And you can also write down goals and targets and make a tick list. Tick lists can be very motivational because ticking things off makes you feel like you're achieving things and accomplishing something. So now we're going to go on to case studies, and case study 1 is the footballer Luke Shaw, and he broke his leg. So Luke Shaw broke his tibia and fibula after a tackle went wrong, and he stated, "I don't think I'll ever forget the feeling of that night." So here we have the psychological responses that he would have gone through, well, I think he would have gone through when the injury occurred. So at first, I think he would have felt fear, and when the injury first occurred, there is going to be a fear of the unknown for him, because he won't know what the true damage is until someone else has seen the leg. As well as this, he won't know how long he's out for. And as this injury did happen quite near to the beginning of the season, it did mean he was out for the whole season, so it was fair enough that he was fearful. Another response he would have felt is anger, and I think that Shaw would have become angry due to the fact that it was close to the beginning of the season, and therefore he went and missed out on the whole season. So denial is the next feeling I thought he would have felt, because I think he's going to deny the fact that he's injured, and he doesn't want to admit the severity of the injury to himself, because it was a very extreme injury. Then he's going to he might become frustrated, because he knows that he will not be able to deny the injury for much longer, and he gets frustrated at the person who caused the injury, as well as the person who diagnosed him with the injury, because they are the bearer of bad news, and he got frustrated at them. So next is bargaining, and I think that Luke Shaw might have tried to convince himself that he will have been able to play sooner than he thought, because it would have made him feel better. But he would have probably tried to convince those around him that the injury wasn't that bad. But as we know, it was pretty bad. Then I think he would have relapsed and gone back to frustration because the bargaining didn't work, because everyone knew the severity of the injury, and it became clear to the athlete, Luke Shaw, and everyone else. Then finally, I think he's going to reach the stage of acceptance, and this because he will probably realise that the best thing to do is start the recovery process, because there's nothing else he can do. And I think that he should just accept the fact that he's going to be out for a while, and that he'll be able to play next season. So then going on to after the injury has occurred, and I think he'll show anxiety, because it'll probably take longer than he expected, and he might reduce some of his skill and fitness levels because he's broken his leg, so he can't really do much. And then after anger, because it's a long recovery process for a broken bone, and he might become angry at the physio for not being able to speed up the recovery time. He might be angry at himself because it happened to him and not someone else. He might get angry at his teammates because they can just carry on doing their sport while he's sitting there waiting for his injury to heal. Next, I think he will become depressed, because he'll begin to feel sad that he knows his fitness levels and skill levels are deteriorating while he's injured. And then I think this will cause a loss of motivation, because there's no point of he might feel that there's no point in trying to because there's nothing you can do about it while injured, so there's no point in going back to the sport. Then I think he's going to feel isolated because his teammates have gone off and carried on while he's stuck inside doing nothing alone. Well, not alone, he'll probably have that sometimes, but who knows. Loss of confidence will happen because the recovery time. Oh, okay. Lots of confidence might happen when his recovery time is nearly over and his injury is nearly healed. And at this stage, his physio. So at this stage, at the end of his physio and recovery, he might lose confidence because he's scared that his leg might hurt or that he's going to injure himself again. And finally, acceptance, because even though he will have accepted the fact he's injured or that the injury is coming to an end, and listen to the professionals on the stage he should be taking. So, for example, if his physio will tell him, how much he'll be able to do and how much exercise he can handle. So, treatment responses. I think he'll first be anxious at the beginning because Shaw will show some stress and it might make him lose some sleep. But once this will happen, he'll start asking loads of questions and become more knowledgeable of the injury. Next, frustration, and this will show how much he cares about his sport, even though he is annoyed and it takes such a long time to recover. Then I think he'll start setting goals and smart targets for himself, which then will move on to him being motivated because he's beginning to achieve these goals. And because he's so motivated, he's going to set more goals. However, these goals are going to become too overwhelming and he's going to become a bit frustrated because he's not achieving as much as he'd like to. I think that the strategies he'll use are music because it can help express his emotion for football and help him keep motivated. So, for example, there's loads of World Cup music and theme tunes and stuff that you might listen to get him in the mood of football and make him feel a bit more happy. He might read books, so this is relaxation, and these books might educate him on the injury, and therefore he's doing research in the way of relaxing. Next, I reckon he's going to do some self-talk. This could either be out loud or in his head to himself. It will let him express what he's thinking and it can motivate him so he could tell himself that he's doing a really good job with the rehabilitation process. Then, also another strategy, he's going to attend different sessions. So it's going to reduce the likelihood of him feeling isolated from his team as he's there seeing what they're doing and also socialising with them as well. The final strategy I think Shaw will use is a diary, and this will help him write his feelings down, and he could also write his routine down so that he's having structure like he would in his normal life, because being a professional footballer, they have a very structured life on what they're doing from day to day. So going on to physiological responses, during the injury we're going to have pain, which lasts about 2 to 3 days of extreme pain, but I think it will more be shock for this athlete. And then next there will be a lot of swelling to protect the injury, and the initial response is swelling and the wound will become inflamed, and this will last about 2 to 3 days, but it can last longer too. So as the leg is broken, there's going to be no range of movement for about 3 months because the bone is just mending itself. And there's also going to be no stability and strength as the athlete will not be able to use his leg as it's so sensitive and brittle. So he might have to use crutches.